You don't. I'm not. Like, no. You know, I'm fucked. Anyway. Yeah. So you pull these all-nighters, don't you? You know what I mean? You pull all-nighter after all-nighter. Can't switch your head off because it's running 100 miles an hour with different stuff, so. Anyway. Yeah, sorry. Let's go.
I'm leaving that in. I'm leaving that in.
Sorry. Right.
Iron House.
Almost Iron House. Yeah.
What was the project? What was the idea? And how do you feel the outcome's going to look?
The interesting thing about Arm Wars Iron House really is that, you know, it's another example of what's the right word? Evolution, probably. It's something which is born out of circumstance and necessity, I would say. The reason being, sorry, my throat's knackered. The reason being that when COVID-19 came around, obviously, it put pay to so many large arm wrestling projects around the world. Ones that I was majorly heavily invested in and still am, truth be known, you know, still 100% behind that project is the World Arm Wrestling League.
Yeah.
Steve Kaplan came along. I've got enormous amount of time and respect for Steve Kaplan. In my experience, he's an extremely straight bloke, and he gave a great opportunity for the sport of arm wrestling, which I still think can be realised, and I hope that does come back. Now, prior to my involvement with World Arm Wrestling League and with Steve, I ran for close to 16 years from a televisual perspective, the Arm Wars Super Series, which is my own project or vision, concept of the sport of arm wrestling and how I wanted to present that. All my career in arm wrestling, and certainly my career in arm wrestling post-competitor, I've been trying to realise an ambition, an aspiration of getting arm wrestling to the masses. How do you get that message across? How do you encapsulate the best of arm wrestling and take it out and show
How do
it
you
to people?
capture attention?
Yes. How do you show the essence, the nature? What have we got to offer? That unique selling point. And for me, arm wrestling is as much a combat sport as a strength sport, and when it comes alive, when it breathes, when it turns from a spark to a flame, to a blaze, to an inferno, is when the passion, the emotion, all those disparate elements that go to make combat sports just really takes off, when you feed that oxygen in there and the thing goes crazy. And the result of that is a war, hence the title Arm Wars. So people used to think that it was something to do with Star Wars. Not at all. I'm not really a Star Wars guy at all. It's just Arm Wars, you know, pretty much is what it is. But that's where that came from. And I wanted to, all the time we were doing Arm Wars as a pure sports show, which, don't get me wrong, I'm eternally grateful for, you know, to Eurosport, to Fighters Inc., Paul Alderson, the guys that worked with me on that project and that helped with it. Eternally grateful for them for doing what we did, but it was a pure sports show. It was a presentation of arm wrestling to fit the format of the vehicle. So I managed to get it with Eurosport. We were having those conversations for a period of about 4 or 5 years. Finally got over the threshold with it, and I laid out a concept of how I wanted to do that. And it didn't really fit with their format. And Silvio, who I was dealing with there, who's the head of sport there, said, look, we are a pure sport show. Yeah. This is what we do. What you're talking about is more like a documentary film, or has much more of an expose on character as well, because my feeling around that is, if you look at all fight sports and the manner in which it's marketed on character. You don't buy the fight if you don't care who's fighting. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's where that came from. And way back, Geneva 92 Worlds, I was like doing a presentation to everybody who'd listened there at the Congress and stuff and I was a puppy. I was coming in, you know, talking to people about that. And I saw that as the biggest hurdle to the sport of arm wrestling. I was a baby in the sport. It's 1992. Nobody cared about some guy who's come from fights into arm wrestling. So I didn't really get any traction. When I became a successful puller, European titles, world titles, and so on under my belt, then you've got the nod of the respect of the arm wrestlers, and that carried a great deal of weight. So suddenly people will listen, and I said, look, this is what I want to do. I hated the concept that you could win the world championships in our sport and you'd be like, oh, this is the best day of my life. This is the pinnacle of my sporting achievement. And you'd be on the, they'd call you to the podium and they'd say, and the gold medalist, England, number 2166. And I'd think, oh, come on, I'm world champion. Surely it's worth my name, And that sort of, it didn't sit right with me at all. So I wanted to change that, and I wanted to sort of
give names to those numbers.
Yeah. Show the man, show the face, show the name. So that's where arm wrestling needed to be, in my opinion. And I always felt like in a main draw tournament, I love main draw tournaments, incidentally. A lot of people think I don't, think that it's all about the super matches. Not at all. My biggest wins are in main draw tournaments, EAF, WAF. Those gold medals at the World and European Arm Wrestling Federation for me are something I'm very proud of, something I'd always endorse. I love EAF, I love WAF. I'm gutted that there was a split in that. I hate that. I hate that that's happened, because for me, that was the proving ground. I wanted to seek out the most difficult competition in the world. Go pull in Russia, go pull in Ukraine, go pull in Georgia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkey, Bulgaria. Go pull there. Go pull in North America when the top guys are there. Seek them out. I wanted to find the monsters. Yeah, for me, I get off the plane and it's like, make no mistake about it, I'm here to kill your monster.
Yeah.
That's what I came for. May die trying, but seriously, I'm coming for the, is there a purse for killing this dragon? That's what I'm looking at. So I wanted to try to show that aspect for everyone, so that everybody who's an arm wrestler, look at it this way, with so many unique characters in the sport of arm wrestling, like genuinely mega unique characters, who you're like, holy, you go home and you'll go out and you're passionate about your sport and you start telling people about this guy. There's this dude, he's called Yevgeny Prudnik, and he is an animal. And the man is an opera singer. And they're like, shut the front door. And no, the dude will stand up there and smack out some Andrea Bocelli, but who knew? So, I wanted to try and just illustrate that to people. Yeah. Show them. And Arm Wars is the result. So, if you're talking about it, you got to try and step up and prove it. So I would go into Eurosport and I'd start to tell them about this. And this is what we do. We show these guys and we show them getting ready for the event. And we show them traveling to the event. And then suddenly they're at the event. And I was always a huge fan of Guy Ritchie films. Like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch. Yeah. Where you would have maybe 4 or 5 strands running at the same time, and they're all heading in the same direction. And they cross over, and eventually you find out you're at that point in the film, and that's what everybody's like, oh, this is smart, I like that, I like how that's been put together. So that was the intention. And yet for 15, 16 years while we were on TV, working my ass off, doing a shitload of matches and sleepless nights because I'm putting every penny I earned into it. Fractious issues, your wife's concerned because it should be going into your children's savings and stuff, and I'm putting it into arm wrestling, and there's no return. And it's a risk, it's a gamble. And I got what's the right word? Disenfranchised, probably, that I was never progressing. It was sort of like, oh God, I want to do it and I love it and I don't want to stop because it's what I know.
Yeah.
But it's not moving forward. It's not progressing. Same thing next year. We'd be back and it'd be on the Eurosport show and we'd be producing it to their format. We need it to be 27 minutes long with 2 advert break of that long. And it must show the stats of the arm wrestler and it must show this. Do you give a shit? I don't care what size the guy's forearm is. I can see his forearm. There it is. Is that the thing between his hand and his shoulder? I'm not too worried about that. What I want to know is what's this guy about?
Yeah.
I want to know what makes him tick. Do I really resonate with this person? You surround yourself with your friends. The things you follow are usually people that you resonate with. Some aspect of their persona, their character, resonates with you, and therefore you think, yeah, I get that guy, I get that girl, that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to follow that, I'm interested in what they do. And that was what it was all about. So forget that this guy has a 17-inch forearm and a 9-inch distance between nipples. I'm not bothered. I want to know what they do. So when the World Arm Wrestling League approached me and Steve said, look, I'm going to fly you over to New Orleans. I was out doing some stuff with UFC, and he said, look, you can come over to New Orleans, I'll fly out. If you don't like what I've got to say, I'll leave you alone. Just so happened to be, Guy Ritchie film, at the same time that back in the UK, whilst we were having tremendous success with the Eurosport show, it was in 60 plus countries, translated into 57 languages. We're getting, on some occasions, millions of viewers weekly.
Yeah.
You know? I was at the same time thinking, oh God, I can't finance a chunk of this. You know, if there's 250 grand cost, I can't finance 60, 70 grand of that myself. I can't do it anymore. I've got a baby on the way, I can't do this. So, the roads were meeting, those dual strands. And I see in Steve Kaplan a guy that says, look, I want you on board here because I want you as a consultant to run various elements that we think you do really well. We want you to present, we want you to matchmake, we want you to consult, we want you to be the arm wrestling guy. And I don't know about a lot of things in the world.
Arm wrestling.
I think I know arm wrestling the best in the world, right?
Yeah.
That sounds like
I think you do.
Cocky,
Yeah.
and everybody's got their own opinion.
Yeah.
But I will
Just
confidently say
by the 3 days we had, you're the man.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
I really think I know as much about arm wrestling
Yeah.
as any human that's ever drawn breath. Yeah. I'll hear guys who are regarded as legends talk to me about something, and I have to bite my... because they were talking about an interpretation of something that they saw. I set the thing up. I orchestrated a lot of it. And I was standing 3 feet away when it happened. I know what the guy was thinking, feeling. He told me all about it 5 minutes after it happened. Opinions change, and people shape things to enhance their own destiny and their own flow. But I'll tell you this, some of that stuff, if I ever had the wherewithal to release, it'd shock a lot of people, because those guys don't forget, you were mic'd up.
Yeah.
And I've still got all the raw. So if it ever came to, hey lads, I can release that.
Yeah.
Let everybody listen to what you said.
Yeah.
We know. Let's park that one. But I genuinely believe that that's the situation. So I said, okay, Steve, I'll come over. Went over. I was very impressed. I thought Steve was still do think, an extremely impressive individual. Sold me in. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw in with these guys, and I'm going to try my absolute best to make this go. But if I come over, I want to have a genuine influence. And he said, like, what? And I said, well, I told him about Arm Wars. I said, the situation with Arm Wars. I said, that has to be a free entity, which he was absolutely fine with. I said, to be honest, I think one of the biggest mistakes is that you're doing main draw tournament format and you can't market it because there's too many unknowns. You cannot market what you do not know, because you're marketing mist, you're marketing ghosts. When you do a main draw tournament, it's like the horse race, the Grand National. The excitement is the fact that you don't know who's going to win. But you can't therefore market the winner. Market the winning 5, the winning 4, the winning 3.
Them only after.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you miss all of it. And you also can't build up any of that on the way to. So all the momentum. Think about fight sports. Think about Mike Tyson. You would watch 5 weeks of build-up, if you're a boxing fan, 6 months of build-up, knowing that guy's going to fight this fella, and he might get in the ring, and in 60 seconds, you haven't even finished your coffee that was going to wake you up in England. He was fighting 3 a.m. in the morning. Me and my dad would get me up, sit me on his knee. I was only a kid, and he'd be like, here we go, Mike Tyson. He'd have been telling me stories about Mike Tyson, and get ready for this guy, and he's incredible. Greatest heavyweight since Jack Dempsey, most visceral, violent, like, you know, I'm ready. Started my coffee, guy's already unconscious, and we're going back to bed. You know, But I'd got all the experience because I'd been on that journey for 6 months, so I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what this was about. Threw in with Steve, and I said, I want to do super matches. If we're going to do it, let's go that route. And he listened to me. We move forward. Everybody knows what happened then. We come forward, COVID-19 shuts the world down just as we're planning to go into a huge season with the WAL, and we've got a lot of things lined up. And everybody's like, oh God, world's going nuts, world's shut down. Who would have thought we'd be locked up for 2 years plus? And I think, right, what can I do? We start the YouTube channel. I hear rumours, vicious rumours, that PAL's not going to be active anymore. Another great organisation, do their own thing, but great for arm wrestling. That WAL's not going to be coming back maybe, or it's complex for them to come back. I actually believe they are coming back, and I really hope that's the case. But these rumours make me think I've got to do something, because ultimately, I mean this in the nicest possible way, but you can ask any man why you're in the sport of arm wrestling, and they're all in it for different things. Some, they see the opportunity as a business, at the fibre of my being, I'm either the worst businessman in the world, or what I can tell you is that I'm in arm wrestling because I can't get out of it.
You're too deep. You're just too deep.
Miss stuff and lose stuff when we're in that room because I'm in the match.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. James will sometimes be like, whoa, fatty, whoa, get professional. I'm invested in the match. I'm like, whoa, I love it. I'm on it.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan's on the camera. He just like floats away. He's like, ah.
Like, you're on the camera, you know what I'm talking about today. It's like, you know what I mean? You can't not, can you? So that's why I'm here. I'm here because I love arm wrestling. It's in me. It's part of me. I'll never lose that. So I had to start it again. I thought, okay, arm wars, we've got to come back. And I'm going to try my absolute best with it. So I start this YouTube channel. It's a little YouTube channel, and I'm not a technical person as such, so I don't really know what I'm doing. I didn't even get it monetized for a year. And then I get it monetized after a year because I can't, what are you? Oh, John, what? Somebody said, oh, you can earn money from it. And I'm like, really? Hey, what are you, wasn't it? Yeah. It was you. And you said, oh, yeah, earn money. I'm like, really? Yeah. What? How many followers have you got? And I'm like, I got like 2,000 followers. And I'm like, oh yeah, you can get money from it. You got to do this and give me some instructions. So I monetized it. Starts making like a couple of £100 a month, and I'm like, oh, so it's a small amount of money, but I think, right, everything I get, I'm gonna plow into arm wars. Just bring arm wars back and try and get arm wars going. But I need that to be itself, to be the brand arm wars, not me. It's arm wars. So I'm gonna create a different thing. Now I'm working in strongman and fight sports and all this other stuff, and a guy contacts me. His name's James Staley. Don't know this guy at all, but I speak to him on the phone, and he's a pretty local guy. I said, where are you based? He says, I'm in Oldham. And I said, okay, what's this about? And he says, oh, I want to make a film about you. He said, because you're a pretty unique individual. You've been like a multiple European and world champion, national champion. You've gone into fight sports, you know, you've worked with, strongman, all this stuff that you've been involved with. So I wanna do something. So you cover all the stuff. You cover the fight sports, cover the stuff, the UFC, the K1, the Giants Live, everything, Ultimate Strong, the whole thing. So we cover it all off. We cover arm wrestling, and a big part of that is arm wars. And he follows me to all the arena shows and stuff with Giants, and you know, for like 6 months to a year. And then one day he said, oh, I'll show you some of the rushes I've got, some of the stuff. We'd gone up to Darwin Tower, and freezing ass day. Felt sorry for him. He's, you know, we were literally pitch black, middle of winter, and he's filming this up at the tower, which was part of something I used to, like a ritual I had before I used to go to compete. And I don't know whether that film will ever see the light of day anyway, but it was coming along, pretty good film.
I think it's gonna. Because
we were walking down, I'm hearing him say, you know, I'll show you some of the rushes. And anyway, we get down and he says, yeah, I'll show you some of the stuff I do. And he shows me some stuff, tells me some of the things he does, and he sends me a highlight reel and he sends me some info. And I watch like a minute, and I'm sat in the front room with my boys and my wife was telling me something, and I'm sort of half listening, half not. Alice talking away, and I'm watching this highlight reel, and I'm a minute in, and I'm like, well, god damn, this guy's stuff is like really close to what I've got in my head. And I couldn't get on the phone quick enough. I'm ringing him up. I'm like, James, we need to talk. It's like, oh shit, what's going on? Like, and I said, look, I know we're doing this film, and great, I would love that. You know, it's nice of you to do that and all stuff, but I've got something better, bigger, a potential, an opportunity that could, all this stuff I've been telling you for the film about my sort of life's ambition, that I want to be, sorry, I got 8 matters, and I'm tired.
I know you're tired, yeah. Neil has been working super hard. It's been crazy weekend, and I just cannot express as an arm wrestler how great the house was, and right now is. So we just wanted to show you.
Second that.
Yeah, we just wanted to show you what arm wrestling can be, and at some point really should be. So yeah, good.
Yeah. So, I put a lot of money in this. Money that's
A lot of money.
over, and people, not just this, not just the reality check and stuff, which is at a certain level, but life-changing money for my kids, for my boys. Life-changing money, things that could have set them up with, they'd be, you know, a good start. So it matters bad, you know. And all the stuff that you do, all the stuff you work with in your life, you could say, okay, well, I've won British Championships and European Championships and World Championships and whatever. And in 50 years, I'm in the ground, and who gives a shit? Nobody knows. Cares. But if my boys are walking round in 40 years and I'm 6 feet under, and they are into arm wrestling at all, or have any interest in that, or whatever, they may or may not. But if they're anywhere and they come across that, my wife, my dad, my mum, whatever, and people, arm wrestlers around the world, that tip the cap and say, oh, you know, you're Neil's boys. Your dad made a difference to arm wrestling forever. That's worth something. You know what I mean?
That's worth everything. Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So
This is what Iron House is, to make a difference.
I wanted to go balls out. One more round. One more round. And we did reality check, and I threw money at that. Everything I fired into it. And it was like I was excited and enthusiastic and ready to go, and got James on board, which is fantastic, because James is... I've got this vision in my head of this thing. He said to me, how do you want it to be? And I said, look, I know this sounds stupid. I said, but imagine like a Guy Ritchie film. I'd actually been on a thing with Gary Roberts like a year ago, like New Year's Eve 24-hour thing, right? And Brad Cook came on from 217. He's talking to me about it. And I told him a little bit of the story. I said, look, I had to walk away from... And when I stopped with Eurosport, it was hard. It was hard. I was like, oh God, am I doing the right thing? Hanging Arm Wars up, shelving Arm Wars was a difficult decision, and I let people down. People like Frodo Hogel and Jeff Hale, you know, Maynard Nentjes, but all the guys that are Nicholas Nanastad and more. They pour their heart and soul into it, and that did not sit well with me at all. I was like, oh God, I didn't want to hang it up, but I thought you got to be, you know, make a real decision. And Steve has resource to potentially, if you give him your skill set to do that, we can make it work better. And that was the decision. But with reality check, we got there. World's just coming out of lockdown. England's just coming out of lockdown. a lot of excitement. Eddie Hall is a very good personal friend of mine for a lot of years. He's just my mate, so I wanted to help Eddie. It was Eddie's first Arnold, and Ed talked to me and said, "Look, Neil, can you do a show to help us out? Just come back with Arm Wars and do." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right, mate." So, and I was excited to do it. So I went balls out, tried to put together a crew of guys, some named, some not. Some guys I had faith in, just they're going to bring the show. Frodo Hoagland, Jeff Hale, guys that I reached out to Maynard, he wasn't available for that one, but guys that I knew
will deliver.
Yeah, absolute underpinning. And then the other big name guys that people want to see, you know. So Sasha Andreev, RVJ is kind of a weird one for me because RVJ is a very misunderstood character. I love him.
Let's not get into that.
I love him, right? But I love RVJ. But RVJ that's its story in and of itself. But put a lot of money into that show. It's funny, you know, people say, you get some dick come on see social media and say something like, you don't even get money. Right, yeah. Like 20 grand of prize money that went out there. From where? I mean, people, they take a snippet of information, like I said, from somebody who doesn't know a goddamn thing and spin it out like they know. You don't know. Oh, shit, shut up. So, £20,000 my own money go into that event, paying it out. And for a lot of the big name stuff, will come and deliver. Do you know who delivered? The usual guys. The guys that weren't there for the money. The guys that were there to friggin' bleed. The guys that were there to go balls out and just, there wasn't a backward step in them. Not a backward step in them. It was like, you might get through me, but you will have to bleed to do it. Those were the guys. Those were the guys that believed, that went for it. And those were the guys that delivered. And that, again, just underpinned my opinion of this thing. Most of the quality matches don't come from the guys out there to be there for the flash in the pan, the short term. It comes from the hundreds and hundreds of dedicated arm wrestlers around the world that puts every waking hour into thinking, living and breathing this thing. It is them. Yeah. They are arm wrestling, you know what I mean? They're arm wrestling. And that's the guys. So I just thought, that I'm gonna go with those guys. I'm with those guys. The 98%. I want to give them a shot. So we had so many issues, mate. I can't even fucking tell you. I had like 3 nervous breakdowns over the weekend. I think I slept genuinely over from the Wednesday night through to the Monday night when we finished. I probably had a combined 10 hours sleep. The stuff, I'm not going to go into it, right? But the stuff, those who know. Yeah. And the things that went down were an insurmountable blizzard of shit that I just thought, my God, I've organised tournaments. I organised the WAF Worlds in 2006. We had like 80 countries, 1,900 plus athletes, biggest arm wrestling competition of all time at that time. And it was easy compared with that thing. The stuff that I nearly got my YouTube channel taken down, copyright strikes, all sorts of stuff going on. But that was a minuscule thing. We nearly had the Bulgarians not here. RVJ had issues. Ryan Espy spent like 3 days to get out of Canada and then had to fly, unbelievable stuff. Things came out of it, like suddenly we realised that Alex Kadetcha's gone from there to there and is now a friggin' whatever that is. I mean, amazing. But
a lot of lessons there.
Oh my God. Talk about, we're back with a bang. And you'll remember, the first match of the first day is Ted Wilson and Urban Armstrong. Who knew, right? Yeah. Ted Wilson, guy that's grafted all his life, put his heart and soul into this. He's the guy. He's the guy that I'm talking about. He's the one of you guys. He's one of you. He's the guy that's not a big name. No. guy from Eskdale, Cumbria, shows up, can't sleep at night thinking about arm wrestling. So he goes out there and he's bristling with nerves. He's got stuff that I'm not going to talk about going on in his private life that's unbelievable stuff. And yet he shows up and he puts that shirt on and he wears it proudly and he wants to go out and go flat out. He's pulling a new guy, confident son of a bitch. Mate, I love him. Urban Armstrong's been here this weekend. Yeah. And Urban will bleed for it as well. He's that guy, loves it, natural athlete. And they go into an absolute balls out war. And me and you were looking at each other and we're like, holy, we're back. We're back. You know, so it was off. And then for some reason, this magic switch just happened. And the whole goddamn day, whilst it was raining in with the issues, I have the manager of the thing coming over to me, the guy who's on the stage behind us coming over and complaining, problems from every frigging angle raining in. It sort of all went into the mist. Because underpinning the whole thing was this like gem of an arm wrestling competition, just fucking evolving right there in front of your face. You're looking at it, and I'm looking at the guys, and everybody's going, holy sh! Are you watching what's going on in here? Just match after match after match. That first day, which was supposed to be not the best day. The next day was supposed to be the one. But that first day was like, and I'm so glad it was, because I was on the edge, mate. You know, Bulgarians hadn't even got in the country yet. All sorts of stuff going on. And that first day it was, you know, the paddles.
Yeah.
So, somehow, we lived. And on the third night, right? I'm sat with James. We watched the show today with Ewan and James. We'd done the interviews. Wasted time on that, and the friggin' audio was shocking. Terrible audio. You know, we're getting copyright strikes and middle of an amazing match, and he's got to edit this, and he's trying to visualize, because he's a creative guy, so he's visualizing in his mind what's going to happen. And I've set him a brief. I say I want it to look like I said to Brad Cook on the Gary Roberts show, I want it to look like a Guy Ritchie film crossed with Peaky Blinders. Yeah. It's got to look grainy and visceral and edgy and dark and carry the Arm Wars theme. But then from within that darkness comes these characters that are operating in the shadows, and this is what they plan for, and they've got a game plan, and they come into it, and you show the character and you expose it, and it crescendos in the match. And the audio's poor, and James is saying to me, oh my God, dude, this is the worst. I can't deliver on the brief you've given me. I can't create that from what we've got here, because we're in the middle of this mega match, and all of a sudden, let it go. And I'm like, oh my God. And then we wait. I swear to God, this is the kind of stuff we're against. And Ray knows, because he was in the match. Yeah. So we reschedule everybody, which must be incredibly frustrating. I've got the guy who's managing the event come over to me and said, look, can't do nothing about music. This is after I'm 5 copyright strikes in. And the next one it says, if you have another one, your channel's wiped. And I'm like, shit, we're not going live, get it off. And he says, can't do anything about that stage. It is what it is, deal with it, type of thing. I said, right, we're going to put some other matches on, but I need to get these matches, the bigger matches, moved to the end of the day when there's no music, right? So the stage is supposed to finish at 5 o'clock. We move them to 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock start, and everybody's like, oh, you're joking. So you and Craig go out, 5 o'clock, everybody's left. All that, like...
Just arm wrestlers.
Yeah, 2,000 strong crowdable.
About 300, maybe 200 arm wrestlers.
That's it.
That's it.
3,000 people have buggered off. They've all gone home. So we're there, and the music stopped, and I'm like, oh, there is a God, and he loves arm wrestling. Let's go. We start, and the goddamn lights went out. Can you remember? The lights went out. I literally nearly punched myself in the dick to take the pain away. I was like, what the hell? So I run down to the organiser's office, and I'm like, throw me a rope, just so I can hang myself. You know, what's going on? Yeah. So we managed to, after like 5-10 minutes, get the frigging lights back on, and we somehow puddle together a show. James is still saying we're going to struggle to get this thing to look anything like, and the day after he goes, we can't, it's not good enough, we can't release this, it's just not good enough. So James Statham works his ass off to try and get something, because he says, we can't release it. And I'm like, dude, I've invested like almost 50 grand in this thing, you gotta friggin', somehow, you gotta do it, right? You gotta do it. I may die, my wife may kill me in my sleep, please. Not to mention we've got people pirating arm wrestling. Everybody, we're all arm wrestlers, right? Everybody wants the sport to go. I'm trying my best to deliver something different, and around the world, people are ripping off my stuff and putting it out for. I mean, come on, I'm not Gary Roberts, and I'm not going to die on that hill. But, dude, give me a break, man. So
that was a like, this is why we have Iron.
Well, here we go, right? So that night, I've come off the phone from James, and we go out for a meal. SB, Tom Aberton, myself, John. We met you guys. You came to this Italian restaurant, right?
Yep.
And we were walking back, I think, along the canal bank. And John Thompson, Uncle John, says to me, I friggin' love this. This is what it's all about. And I'm like shaking. And I say, yeah, but we can't use this stuff, and I'm probably going to be bankrupted. It might be done. And it was literally, I was walking along this canal bank. I'm trying to decipher what James has said. And I'm like trying to slow my mind down. And I said, right, I got an idea. He said, what are you on about? I said, that's what we're going to have to do. I said, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to hire a friggin' big house, or castle, or country manor, or some stuff like that. And a venue close by. And I had a place in mind. I'm going to do a show, not with not many people. I'm not going to bring any giant names over, because I've no money left. And there it is. But I'm going to take it in-house. We got the control. So James, who knows his stuff on what we need to achieve that, says, this is, I say, right, what do we need? He says, this. Map it all out. And we're going to go behind closed doors, 100%. Take this thing behind closed doors, and we're going to run these matches where nobody can pirate them, where nobody can see them, where nobody's going to suddenly stick Beyonce Knowles on, or Disney tunes. We've got control of all the disparate elements that come together to make this thing, and we can organise it. But with that comes risk, because in my mind, I think there's going to be risk and reward here. You're going to get some great off-table moments where arm wrestlers are going to, a little bit of banter going on. Some guys are going to want to do this more than others, but there's basically going to be a little bit of banter back and forth. You got guys like one of my favourite guys, Mindaugas Teresaitis, he's like a master of the little sarcastic dig. You know, he'll just give you that little dig and put you down. Whilst that's one of the masteries of his arm wrestling. He'll chip away and find that little gap, and then he'll dismantle you. I love it. You'll get all of that, but maybe you'll lose some of the stuff that we all love at the big show, where you have got 1,000 strong crowd, 2,000 strong crowd, and everybody's cheering and chatting. It gives you that thing. So we get here. We do it, we pull it off. I book everything up. We get myself and James plan stuff out. We come, we look at the venue, we get it all. Can we make it work? Yeah, we can. And we're on the ragged edge of possibility. I say I'm on the ragged edge of possibility in terms of what I can do, because it's all me financing. You're looking at him. James has worked himself sick to try and do his bit and deliver on that. We've managed to launch the YouTube channel, and people have seen like 5 shows, and hopefully, you know, not many people have seen it, but some people have seen it, and everybody that's seen it, everybody's like, holy, that is different gravy, that's different.
And those shows were not even good. Like, really.
Didn't want to launch them.
Yeah.
He didn't want to, I mean, we had major, you know.
Yeah.
So, we're here, we're in Iron House. We pick up the guys, everybody gets here. And then suddenly we get a call from Frode Hoagland, who is like, when you're putting together an Armwrestling show, guys that were first name on the team sheet, you know, you got Frode is right there. He's the guy. Jeff Hale is another guy. There's guys that are just the man. Frodo's one of those guys. Inexplicably, he gets an infection and a cut in his foot. And his leg swells up like bigger than my thigh. Frode being Frode, he still wants to come. His wife's like, you may die. The medical people are saying, you may get DV3, you may die. Frode's still, the night of, trying to find tickets to come. But ultimately, we don't get him. Biggest thing is the battleground, like heavyweight, talked up. It never happens because Frode don't make it. So once again, I'm thinking, oh my God. We get an alternate. He's in place. We've thought of this. So we've got alternate in place. Who's going to fill in for Frode? His name's David Bradford. He's right here. What can possibly go wrong, right? So everybody has to take a test before they come in the house. David sends me a message. When we know Frode's out that night, David sends me a message. Mate, I've got a problem. What? Done your test? Yeah, done my test. It's positive. And I'm like, oh, and I like laughing, like, haha, yeah, you know. No, really, he's positive, so we can't come. So we lost the alternate, and suddenly we've got 3 men in a 4-man battleground. And I'm just like, no way. Is what it is. I've put together the right crew of guys. So everybody gets on with it. And we start the arm wrestling. And the concept was that we could get it all together. We'd capture the bits off camera, on camera. We'd try and put them all together, off table, on table, put them all together. And we have something pretty special, pretty unique, character endorsing. And it's also got the element of table in there. Well, god damn. Because this event here at the Iron House, the first ever Iron House, I hope that all the lads who came here and competed in this show realised what they're involved with. Because your first question, well, how did we arrive here and how did the concept come about? Well, I would always like to think that, you know, at the end of the day, when you're racking it up, people say, well, Neil did some stuff that turned out to be pretty cool stuff, like the Supermax thing in arm wrestling. Yeah. This Iron House. Holy, this is it. Is this it? I mean, this might be it, right?
Yeah.
Can only get better.
Good.
It can only get better, yeah.
God. It has gone off in this place. You know? Those 18 guys, 20 guys that were here. Non-stop. Balls out. They are the guys. You might beat me, but you're going to have to bleed to do it. Well, I think the proof we've just seen. And here we sit, it's day 3. And everybody's destroyed, but in a good way. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, you, Ray, you've got no skin on your elbows. You're destroyed. You probably feel like you need to be sponsored by ibuprofen.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
Bloody hell, you've been in some friggin' matches. And we're not gonna please guys, if anybody does watch this, hopefully you might probably switch on and think, oh fuck, get him off. But if you do watch this, don't even ask the lads for the results if you can. Just please go over, tune into the channel. This is Last Chance Saloon for me. Honestly, I mean, I don't want to be poor doom and gloom on it, but if this doesn't work, I'm done. I'm out. Because I can't do it anymore. I ain't got the money. I ain't got the time. I've invested too much time, I want to do it, but I just can't. I've got kids. I'm not a millionaire. I'm a normal working guy. So this is it. But I'm bloody trying hard to make this work. Everything we've got. It's funny because I see some stuff and it'll say, oh, we're setting up a fund me page for this show out here and arm wrestlers around the world rallying and going, woo, let's go, let's pour money into that. And it disappoints me a little bit because I felt like if you want to, I'm not asking you for money, but what I'm asking you for is just watch the show. And if you like the show, just think, yeah, that's good. We got videos on there that had 20,000 views, right?
Yeah.
We got 4,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
All I want is watch the shows, hit the bell, get the notifications, and you'll see when these things come out. And you won't know the results because we're not going to release them. And I honestly hope that all the guys that are in here don't talk about the results, and you guys don't ask them for the results. And when you watch this, you won't know. And if you do that, I can categorically promise you, you are going to see some amazing stuff. Twists, turns, injuries, bad stuff, good stuff, silly stuff. It's coming. You know?
When can we expect something from Iron House?
James probably will know more. I mean, we've got some reality check stuff to do. And he's having to work his ass off to get those out.
Yeah.
And what he does and what he's going to do with these can't be done in a day. That's why all the guys that are doing the live stuff, great, that's brilliant. But allow them to carry the burden for a while on that. But when this comes, it's different. This is not that. This is farm animal, wild animal.
Yeah.
Wild animal. This is what we're talking about. Yeah. This is not the same. It's just a different level of production, different level of shots, different level of emotion, different everything.
Everyone just should be patient because you cannot rush it. If you rush it, and James will not rush it.
No, he won't. He's a perfectionist, mate. Yeah. I've got incredible belief in James Statham. I think he's going to pull something together which is amazing. It's like, I like Simon and Garfunkel, right? And Paul Simon, incredible songwriter, incredible musician. But if you take away Art Garfunkel, it's not as good. I met Art Garfunkel, and he's in there doing interviews.
Are we exploding?